Which team is most likely to win their week 1 game? What's up, everybody? This is Kerry. In this video, I'm going to give you win probabilities for each of the games for week 1. And along the way, I'm going to describe 3 fun games that you can play with your family or friends, or even play professionally, even in a casino, and perhaps win money doing these games. It's a lot of fun here. Let's talk about these games. The first one is going to be the Survivor Pool. Now, this is a really simple game. It's fun to play. This is a long-term game. It goes for the entire season. And here's how it works. First thing you do is you pick one team to win each week. That sounds pretty simple, right? Really easy. Win probabilities are good to know for this particular game. If your team wins, you survive. You move on to the next week. If your team loses, you're out of the game. But the kicker here is you can only pick a team one time throughout the entire season. This is really what really makes you think about which team to pick, when, and which week, and so on. You look ahead in the schedule and plan accordingly. And the player who survives the longest wins the pot. There's a very well-known Survivor game sponsored by Circa. And this particular game, each entry costs $1,000. All the top sports bettors and sports handicappers play this game. There's thousands of entries each year now. And there's a $10 million guaranteed pot. If it's just one person, they get $10 million. But if more than one person or a group of people survive the longest and they tie, then they split the pot. This is something I haven't done yet, but I'm strongly considering putting in at least one entry. I think you have to go to Las Vegas to actually sign up for this game. I'm not sure. I'm going to have 3 entries on my videos here just for fun. I'm going to pick the Bengals for my first entry, the Seahawks for the second one, and the Bills for the third. Now, why these 3 teams? You're going to see in just a second when I show you the win probabilities. Now, the second thing are Moneyline Parlays. You group 2 or more bets together into one. That really increases your payout, but it also decreases your odds. So I know a lot of people, recreational bettors, are into this, where they put like 3 or 4 or 5 games together, maybe even 8 games. You lay down $10, you win $1,000, whatever. But the problem with that is those odds are so low, they hardly ever work out. What I do when I dip into the parlay world here is I just do 2 games. In particular, I use data and statistics and models and all this and trends, all that kind of stuff to actually get percentages that I think give me an edge over the sports books. And here's what I'm going to show you right now. When I look at the data from 2021 to 2023, I've seen that home teams favored by 5.5 points or more have a win rate of 76.9%. In fact, that's higher than what the implied odds would be. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Here's the actual Moneyline parlay that I put together and I bet. The Broncos at the Seahawks. The Seahawks are favored to win. I think they're 5.5 point favorites. The money line here is minus 245, which gives us implied odds of 71% for the Seahawks to win. The Cardinals at the Bills. The Bills were 6.5 point favorites. I think they're down to now 6 point favorites. They have a minus 255 money line for implied odds of 71.8%. Now, just a little bit of math here. When you put 2 games together here, when you put 2 bets together into one, you have to take their odds and you multiply them together. These are independent games, so you multiply the 2 odds together. So 0.71 times 0.718 gives you 0.51 or 51% chance of hitting this particular parlay. Now, that doesn't sound so good. In fact, you want to get something that's over 52.4% each and every time. But because of what I just showed you on this trend here, and I believe in this, I think, according to my data, according to my statistics, according to my models, that each of these teams has a 76.9% chance of winning. When we multiply these 2 numbers together, we get a 59.1% chance that this parlay will succeed. So, since my odds are better than the sportsbook's odds, this is what we would consider a positive expected value or plus EV bet. Okay, finally, the Rankem game. This is one that I just made up a name for this because I'm not exactly sure if other people call it this or maybe call it something different. I've seen other people talk about it, so I'll describe this now. This is where you pick winners for each and every game. This is a weekly game. You pick each game winner for every single game on the slate, and then you rank your winners by level of confidence. This is where your win probabilities really make a difference. You rank them 1, 2, and 3, and so on. If your number 1 pick wins, you get 16 points. If they don't win, you get 0 points here. You don't get negative, you don't get points deducted, you just don't get those points. If your number 2 pick wins, you get 15 points and so on. Then you add these all up after Monday Night Football at the end of that week, and the highest point total wins. This is a fun little game to play, and I've done this many times. What we really need to know now are the win probabilities for each of the games. So here we go. These are the win probabilities for week 1 of the 2024 NFL season. What I've done is I've created a model to pick the winners, and that model gives me the win probabilities. It doesn't necessarily match up with just simply picking the most favored teams over here, although it does a lot of times here. It doesn't always do that. In particular, we see the Seahawks are 5.5 point favorites at home against the Broncos, but the Bills are 6 point favorites at home against the Cardinals. but according to my model, the Seahawks are more likely to win than the Bills. Let me zoom in a little bit here and get rid of that title bar. So we have the Bengals at 82.1%, the Seahawks at 70.1%, and the Bills at 66.6%. That's why I picked these three teams in my survivor entries, right? The top teams to win are my three survivor picks. And now, of course, you want to, for survivor pool, you want to make sure that you don't want these teams later on in the season. But I looked and I don't need them later on. So, and then finally for the rank 'em game, this is exactly how I'd rank them. The Bengals number 1, Seahawks number 2, Bills number 3, and so on. And this is due to this probability, due to this model. So this is where the win probabilities help you out in each of those games: the survivor pool, Moneyline Parlays, and the rank 'em game. I hope you enjoyed this video, and maybe some of these games I showed you in this video, you'll play with your family and friends and have a good time. And because I'm showing you these odds and probabilities and using the data and statistics and models, maybe you'll be the one that dominates. Have a good one.